This is what you need to do. It's a short exercise, not a big deal. So it will be a new one instance. Either you enter the license, which I don't know which one it is because I'm so lazy that I just copied it from another instance. Otherwise, you have to enter this instance license here. Then the name, let's say, that we will do in our case will be a demo, which is just fine. Let's just put a capital here as a demo. And the source is not cloud, so all I need to use integration services. And in my case, he will report an error here because I don't have all the services on this server, but on this instance. The BC is the BC instance that holds all the things. So that's all I need to do on this part. I'm declaring the destination here. Now the source, like the best practice, cannot create some. So what I would suggest is the close the things would be better. Whenever I do this on the flight can happen here. So let's just do again. Recording is still on, which is good. So we learn from errors. So many times, or let's say sometimes, when we go in and out, we clear the cache. Anything that you do in .NET is in cache, in memory. And if I want to start from scratch, it's better that I don't have anything here. You see this demo is been done halfway. Okay, here will be the new start and BC demo, and the destination will be BC. Give me the refresh. Nothing else. Next. Now the source, let's be SQL 2017 and the BC 17. And actually, what I will do intentionally, I will deploy and process this part now. Let's just do this in the steps first here. Just let's do the steps like this. So it's reading about the difference in versions. When Microsoft was taking over, Navision at that time had about 900 tables. And then Microsoft next version was having 1,100 tables, and Business Central today has 1,500 tables. Now you may see a lot. Now it is a lot, but F&O has 11,000 tables. So it's like you see, it's like 10 times almost more. So in F&O there is already a lot of tables. In BC, the BC has one very, very, very big problem, okay? Because the data here come per company. That is the worst thing they could do, that each database company comes with a company name. This is a disaster. So you see, there is a account schedule line for this company and another one for the UK company. So this is a disaster from architectural point. Okay, let's have, this is what we have. Let's just do it first like this. Let's put a name UK 2017. A short name. It doesn't really matter if we do anything else. We will do, however, all the things of the framework. Okay, let's just do it like this. And we have framework, we have selected everything else, which is fine. We will not do anything here. And we go on the install button and just click run. So now this will take some time. And meanwhile, while this is working, I'm sure that you are aware that you can look into what's going on here. So either you are in this window, it's saying what's doing, it's checking if the framework is installed or not. It is not, so it's going to do. Now it's going to deploy, look for the metadata, and metadata, it already started doing it. And what is the next is it's getting the script, so it's connecting to the cloud computer, and it's going to take the latest script from BFO Dynamics Cloud server, and it's then going to deploy first manual script, then it's going to load every other script and do the model based on the modules that we have selected. That just repeating it. So updating field length. This is one thing very interesting. The metadata is in most cases accurate, which means that it tells you the table name, field name, or also the field length. But sometimes the physical field information, field length information especially, it's accurate. It's of course more accurate than the one in the metadata, and we have to update this. And that's the same in F&O and in the BC. The metadata is kind of 99% accurate. It's not 100% accurate. Now it's deploying the manual script. So it's saying deploying the manual script. We are happy. Deploying is already done for the staging part. Now it's reading the tables. Now it's going to deploy. Now the data warehouse. There are just global dimensions and some other dimensions. Total, we have 150 dimensions. So I don't know, manually there are about 30, 40 manual dimensions. And we are now deploying, we don't deploy, we don't have manual things in analysis services. They're just the model, but the model is deployed as a whole. You cannot partially deploy the analysis services because the model is one model. You can change, but deploy, no. So this is deploying it, and then we go to the next part. It's going, now we will finish this round of manual scripts, which are prerequisite to do everything else. So then we are going to use the scripts and generate all the scripts for modules, business modules that we have selected in the previous steps. So it's deploying it still. Okay, actually, it's generating the script because this is not seen. Script generation is not a part that is tracked in the logger, so that's better viewable here. It's generating dimensions, okay? So why is this part doing it? Because we may have not chosen all modules. Maybe we didn't do manufacturing. So if we didn't do manufacturing, manufacturing will be not available in this portion. So manufacturing orders or manufacturing routing as a dimension will not be here, and also the manufacturing module will not be here. So the scripts are now generated, and we do another round of deploying schema or the structures, and we are now deploying staging part. So this is importing all that needs to be done to deploy stage. And then we will have deploying the data warehouse part. So these are structures or schema. So there are empty tables just for lifting data to be put somewhere. And the data warehouse. So actually in theory stage is a part of the data warehouse, but internally we say data warehouse, brains are dimensions and facts and these scripts. So stage is kind of staging area of data warehouse. It's also data warehouse, but it's not really a smart part because we just load data from BC or F&O, so we don't do any transformation. So apart from the timestamp for incremental, not much is going on in the staging part. You just want to bring data as soon as possible with all the parallelism, incremental, so that you don't waste much time. You don't add much value there at all. Now this takes some time if you have a lot of dimensions, and 3 scripts have to be deployed for each: create, view, and load dimension. So 3 lines, 3 scripts, and it's alphabetical. So with S we are already at the end, like sales and then service. You can see here. And then it will pause for a second. You think, wow, it's an error. No, it's just shifting from you see, it's at the end, right? It's shifting now, stopped with the dimensions, it's going to the facts. So from folder 3, we'll go to folder 4. That's why the folders are 1, 2, 3, 4, as they have to be deployed. You cannot deploy facts without deploying dimension first. That would cause an error here. And again, this is alphabetical, R, S, then we have warehouse, service and warehouse, I think, and that's it. And it will pause for a second and then deploy. You see, it's pausing for a second and then deploys the analytical part here. Let's just wait. And this is deployed as one chunk. You don't see lines what is deploying, because what BI4 Dynamics created is in this folder. It's in this folder. It's one. It's a demo one. We deploy model. So we have one big model. In the previous steps, we have scripts. So in each of these folders, there are scripts which we deployed. Everywhere there are scripts. So these scripts we have seen, but for analysis database, you deploy the whole model at once here. That's why it just says it's a model. So you see this here. This is this part here. And now what we see here, it is processing data. So it processes stage. That's the beauty of a small database, right? The small database will process immediately. Like the schema will process same amount of time, or will be running or deploying same amount of time for big or small database. That's schema. You have to deploy, let's say, 250 objects. That's it. You know, doesn't matter, is it a terabyte database or gigabyte database or megabyte database. But then processing data, of course, either milliseconds, seconds, or minutes or hours, depending on the data size. So, and this is showing us the processing of dimensions. And there are different also buckets or groups. What we have to do, we are already in the facts. They are deploying all the 40 facts, but because the data are very few, you have seen 10, 20 transactions or even empty, then that's very fast. So that's going to be deployed quite fast and will be successfully implementing the BI4 Dynamics demo database layer first. Here you see 1 minute 17 for data warehouse, and stage was, I don't know, 10 seconds. So that's where you do the demonstration on to show the changes. And analytical part probably also 10, 15 seconds. After roles and permissions and calculation groups, the data processing will be no time here. So if we are just ready for our data, let's just go into receivable, into the sales module, into the sales report. So we have here a report, sales. This is a retail sales. I'm looking at this. So I'm intentionally copying it here, and I will write here BI4 Dynamics sales demo. I don't want to mess connections and everything with my original one that I use for demonstration. Okay, it's a little more than 10, 15 seconds. Okay, thank you. Installation complete. So it takes 9 minutes and 8 seconds to combine all the things. And you can see most of the time, 2 minutes was processing, so 7 minutes was all around there. Now, let's see what we have by copying the sales part and just connecting the data. And we just have to, in my case, because I'm pointing to my demo data, just to change the data source parameter by writing demo. Everything else in my case is the same. But I have only a demo data, and first everything will be gone because in the report I have hard-coded the company name UK 2009. Let's just wait this first. If you forget this, you'll be said, oh, nothing is showing because we said it's a BC, right? This is something. If you come back, said, failure. No, always look into the filter that you have. So let's just remove this filter and, put it away. And maybe also this, because I was having some scenario showing. Okay. and also the years here, past, and finally, without any filters, some action is coming into our place here. This is the demo data as provided by Microsoft. So maybe a table here and there may look okay, but apart from that, not much used here. So let's see why this is not showing, because there is, let's see, other data. Let's just dig in why we have some information, something is not. Okay, here it's clear. The data that are coming, we have to be very specific. In this case is when we have this data, the data are coming in particular years. So let's see the data on a bigger picture by years here to see what we have here. So we see these data are 21 and 22. Okay, so whenever you have a filter from our demo data to 2019 and so on, that might be a problem. Because if I have data in this visual here, there is absolutely no reason I would not have it also here unless I have some filter somewhere in me. So yeah, I do not know. Here it is. So the data are coming here. So if I select these 2 years of data, the data are showing here because they are now selected. But the demo data are as they are, and the receivables is also not, or anything that we would like to do, it should be 2020 or 2029 like this. Yeah. So this is what you have as a starting point, but you see the table kind of looks okay, but that's everything. But we can save it, but that's not really, it's a first step. It's an important step. Getting schema is an important step, but getting data in, it's another step, right? So let's do this exercise here. This exercise will be easier. So we will add the data source, and here I go to my local 2019. This is something which will be restored, and as explained before, it's a 2009 database. Now, because we didn't select global dimensions, we'll have to do this exercise now. Because if we do any reporting with global dimensions, in our case, nothing will come out because we didn't select them, knowing that SQL database doesn't have much information here. So this is what we are going to add now in order to bring it closer. So it's connecting to the source, it has to read the source tables. If you would have in this database 10 companies, it would take more time to read, or if you have only one company. That's the rule. So we select the companies now. The first one is already there, UK. We put a short name, UK 2009. It's important not to forget additional currency. And I usually do initialize, and then I delete alphabetically, which I don't intend to keep, like this 4. And I just add 4. As I remember from previous part, department is going to map department. Now you can see this is working. When I add a new one, it automatically adds, if it's not there, also on the global list. But I said, no. I'm just happy with these 4, and these are just enough. Now, because I created dimension change, okay, because of this part here, I have to generate the model. Why? Because, look, I will explain you now. In the first step, if you look into the facts of any fact, let's say just GL transactions, so in here, I will show that we didn't change any global dimensions, and because we didn't add global dimensions, these dimensions are not there. And if I would deploy this setup, if I didn't generate, these dimensions will not come because the generate code will bring the global dimensions with the names, and it's always customizable. You never have two customers having same dimensions with same names. So that's a part of the wizard code generator, which will be different from customer to customer. So all I need to do is go here and generate. Wait for some time because it's generating the whole data warehouse, all transactional dimensional data and schemas and analytics again. And it says, because I have this open file here, it says, hey, you know, it has been changed externally. You know, do you want to save kind of things, or, you know, you want to reload? I said yes for all. If I would have several, I would say yes for all. So what do I expect? I expect few lines of my global dimensions to be a part of the code. See? So with this, I added the code here and here and here and here. Who cares? But at some places, it's at right places to generate it. And this is example only for GL. This generate, it's valid for the whole model because it doesn't says on the cube, and it changes and adds my global dimensions in all 40 or 50 facts everywhere. So what I have to do now is go into this part here and press deploy and process all. So now we will recreate schemas from the changed scripts, because if script is here, it's in the folder. The load global dimension, let me just give you the thing, why do we have to deploy it here? Let's say just do the connection to the data warehouse that we are dealing with. It's a demo. And if I look into my data warehouse, and if I look into which script is in this current moment in my data warehouse, let's just see it. It's in the BI demo, stored procedures. You don't go often, but you go from time to time here. If you're a SQL developer, you go often here. So it's the name of the script is fact load GL transaction. So it's not a dim, it's fact. And then it's load GL transaction. So what I will do is I'll say script me as create. Doesn't matter. So what I want to point is that this script here do not have the part that I have added, which are the part with the global dimensions here. Let's just look into the insert. Let's say in the insert button, it ends here. It doesn't have 4 global dimensions because I generated the script. I said I want this to be used, but it's not used until I run deploy. I mean, I'm sure that for those of you who have been doing already data warehousing or anything, you know that deploy will do the change. Our change comes from the script, and then the process will bring the data. So this is the button which will do everything. And Jure invented a name for this button. It's called a smoke button, because that's how much time you need to go to smoke a cigarette. Like deploy and process, where everything is running, you are in the job, you are working, actually software is working for you. So you hit the smoke button that will deploy and process everything. First again, stage, schema, data warehouse schema, analytical schema, and then it will go on into the processing of all these parts. But we don't need to do any other changes on the model apart from adding the global dimensions that we already did. If we would do the global dimension in step 1, when we were having this part, then still we would have to do it because we have added a new source. And when adding new source, if it's a different version, we need to do generate here. So generate doesn't hurt, but in this case, it's unnecessary. If we would add another company, we don't need to generate, but the data source, yes. So this will be now a 3 or 4 minute exercise, which we don't have to wait here. And I'll also out of the idea what to talk about, more about what's going on here. So any questions about this part here?